peace, you know, the love. I've seen a lot of love since I've become Muslim, and that's a beautiful thing for me. I hit a bad spot in my life, and I almost committed suicide. I was going through all kinds of stuff, and I found the Quran in the library. The fact that the way the Muslims treated me, they took me in like a family, and treated me like a brother, and that opened me up a lot. My only experience I had, to be honest with you, I was in the Marines. I was trained for the military to hate them, to fight them. And when I heard the Quran and heard how he explained it, it touched my heart. When I was reading the Quran and I started tearing up and crying, I'd sit back and I'd watch them pray, and I wanted to be involved, but until I learned the prayer, mashallah, I loved it. Once I learned the prayer, though, I started getting in more with it. Living for Allah, being a Muslim is easy for me. Well, for me, I had a bad temper. I had a meanness side to me, and I hated everybody. Mm-hmm. And after Islam, I've gained peace, and I'm a lot quieter. Yes, I think it helped out a lot. People who are still learning and who are coming into the religion, that it'll help them to understand what they're getting into.
Today we have a guest from Kansas, USA. He is a member of the Facebook group called Muslim Converts - Helping New Muslims. He's come to share his story and his experience of converting to Islam. His name is Saeed. Hello, Saeed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, peace be upon you as well, Saeed. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Okay. From Kansas, is it Kansas City?
No, I'm from Junction City, Kansas.
Okay. So the purpose of this podcast is so that we can, so that people who are interested in becoming Muslim, they can find information and they can listen to people talking about, how to become Muslim, or talking about, the topic of conversion to Islam. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how long have you been Muslim?
Since 2011.
So was it easy for you to convert?
It was pretty quick, about a month. I took Shahada. It was pretty easy. I mean, I've had some issues since I became Muslim, but it was pretty easy.
Okay. What did you have to do? Like, was it just online, or did you go to the local Islamic society? Or
mine was a little different, but I won't get into that. I was just saying I hit a bad spot in my life, and I almost committed suicide. I was going through all kinds of stuff, and I found the Quran in the library.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. When I converted, I was going through, like a lot of problems. I also nearly committed suicide, or thought about it. Yeah, then, I found Islam, and everything was fine ever since. Okay, so, like some people say, that the thing that made them accept Islam, or the thing that pushed them over the edge, some people say it's like scientific proofs. Other people say, the thing that sealed it for them was hearing the Quran, or listening to the call to prayer. Or other people say, like, it was, interacting with Muslims and experiencing the way they are, and their character and their manners. What was that one thing that sort of pushed you over and sealed it for you after you had, researched everything and you felt comfortable? But what was that one thing that sealed it for you, and you knew you were a Muslim?
The fact that the way the Muslims treated me, I was, they took me in like a family, and treated me like a brother. And that opened me up a lot.
Yeah. Okay, great. And this was in Kansas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was it like at the mosque, or was it, how did you interact with Muslims?
There wasn't a mosque or nothing. We just came together as like brothers. and they started teaching me and explaining me things.
Okay, great. And how did you meet them, or what?
Kind of weird because I picked up the Quran, and a Spanish brother from Mexico sat down next to me, and he said, "What are you reading?" And I told him, and he started talking to me and teaching me, explaining to me, and it opened my eyes. I was like, wow.
So this was when you went to the library and you found the Quran, and then there was a Spanish Muslim at the
Yes,
same
sir.
time. Wow, that's
Yes, sir.
amazing. That's amazing. And so before you actually found the Quran at the library, had you already had knowledge of Islam or anything like that? Any experiences with it?
My only experience I had, be honest with you, I was in the Marines,
Hmm.
and it was I joined during the time they were fighting Afghanistan, and
Right.
so I was taught to hate them,
Yeah.
and I was trained for the military to hate them, to fight them.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. And when I heard the Quran and heard him how he explained it, it touched my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. That's great. Okay. And what were some of the other reasons? So you mentioned that the reason was the interaction with the Muslims and the way they treated you, and how they were so friendly. What were some of the other reasons that sort of sealed it for you when you knew you were really a Muslim?
Well, when I was reading the Quran and I started tearing up and crying,
Yeah.
and it really hit me. I was like, wow, this is real.
Mm.
And of hearing the stories, of the things that the Muslims went through, it was eye opener for me.
Did you know about Christianity and the stories before this? Did you have pre-knowledge or?
Yeah, I grew up in Nazarene church. My mother still goes.
Right.
So
Okay. So you were actively, learning about religion and so forth.
yes, sir, my whole life.
Okay. And so, yeah, so you by reading through the Quran, this sort of opened up, the your heart to accept Islam.
Yes, sir.
And then, so you mentioned about your mum and that you're actively involved with the church. How did they react when you became Muslim?
They turned on me basically. My dad told me I wasn't welcome at his house.
Hmm.
He disowned me. My mother told me I'm going to hell. All kind of stuff.
Really? Mm. So the same thing happened to me. Like mine's a little bit different. So my mother is Muslim and my father is Christian, or was Christian at the time. And so I had the sort of same thing. Like my grandmother from my father's side disowned me as well. So I know how you're feeling there, bro. So how is it now? It's been 9 years.
It's
How are
crazy.
you dealing with it?
They don't bother me. They let me be. Um, I go to the house all the time and visit.
Yeah.
My mother, they still don't like it, but they don't say nothing to me about it.
So, I mean, this is probably like something when someone wants to come to Islam or thinking about it, this is probably one of the major things that they're sort of afraid of. So what would be your advice to someone who's thinking about becoming Muslim, but they're really worried about their parents or their family? What's your advice there?
Hold out. Um, Cling to the masjid. Uh, start spending time with the older Muslims. The older Muslims. That's what helped me when I first became a Muslim. They had an older Muslim in the masjid named Nasir. He was Pakistani, I think, and he was like in his 80s. And he started teaching me, and he sat me down and talked to me, and that's what kept me grounded.
Okay. So you said masjid. So for the people that don't know, masjid is like it's sort of mosque. It's where the Muslims go to pray. So your advice is to don't even worry really about what your parents think, but just go to the mosque and try and gain Islamic knowledge and try and increase your knowledge. This is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
So tell me about your experience of going to the mosque, these first few times. Was it scary? Was it some weird thing? Or, like how did they treat you? Or?
I was nervous, and I remember when I first took the Shahada, I wasn't allowed to pray with the brothers until I learned the prayer.
Mm.
And it was pretty, when they taught me every time I went for a thing, I'd sit back and I'd watch them pray. And I wanted to be involved. But, and until I learned the prayer, mashallah, I
Mm.
loved it. Once I learned the prayer though, I started getting in more with it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the same with me. Like the one thing that really sealed it for me is once I started practicing was the actual prayer, because it strengthened that connection between me and God. And, this was the thing that sort of just really just made it for me. So you were learning about the prayer. Was that hard or easy? Like how long did it take to learn?
It took about a month for me to actually learn what to say and what not to say. I got the movements down pat quick, but
Mm-hmm.
what to say and how to say it and when to say it, it took me a little bit longer. It took me about a month.
Okay. How did you learn?
I just kept reciting it and reading it and reciting it in my mind, and that's how I got it.
Okay. So, like, did you start praying from the first day you took Shahada? So, if anyone doesn't know, Shahada means that you're saying the words, like, there is only one God and Muhammad is the Prophet of God. This is called the Shahada, or the testimony of faith. Did you start praying straight away from that day?
Once I learned the prayer, I watched until then. I tried to do it on my own, but I didn't want to mess anything up. So
Okay.
I waited until I knew the prayer before I tried.
Okay, great. All right. So tell me some of the easiest parts of Islam. Right? We talked about some of the hard things. So what are the easiest things of Islam?
Easiest things of Islam. Living for Allah, being a Muslim is easy for me. I'm trying to think because like the prayer is an easy thing for me. I go and pray in the mornings and pray for my 5 salat a day. It's easy. I love to do it, so that makes it easy for me.
Yeah, because you can feel the benefits from it, right? So
Yes, sir.
it becomes an easy thing. Yeah. Okay. What else is some other things besides the prayer?
Well, I learned when I learned wudu, and I learned the etiquettes and stuff. I thought it would be hard, but when I picked up, the different things, it was a lot easier for me to move on and get.
Okay. Can you explain to the audience what the wudu is?
Wudu is before prayer. You cleanse. You offer wudu. You wash your hands and your face and all that, and so you can prepare yourself for prayer.
Okay. And in Christianity, they call it ablution, is it?
Yeah, ablution.
Yeah, ablution. Yeah. What are some of the things some of the problems that Islam has solved, that Islam solves in general for people? What are the main things that you can think of?
Well, for me, I had a bad temper,
Right.
and I had a meanness side to me, and I hated everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And after Islam, I've got to gain peace, and I'm a lot quieter.
Yeah, chill you out a bit.
Yes.
So how did that? Why does that happen? Like, what do you think made this happen?
Well, I feel like because all what I've been studying about peace, and I've learned that if I keep quiet about things and just let things go, I'm at peace with myself. I'm happier.
Yeah.
And I've learned, through the teaching of Islam that if someone goes off on me, that that if I just let it be, that they will see me living for Allah.
Yep.
And they might come to the deen because of me.
Yeah, this is something that also happened with me, is that I felt a lot of different changes in my life. Temper was one of them, definitely. And because when I lost my temper, I got angry, I realized that the consequences from it, right? So I didn't like the consequences, and then I had to learn to just be patient and just let things happen. And then at the end of it, you find that peace that you're talking about, that peace and tranquility that actually what we're all looking for. So
Yes, sir.
So I mean, yeah, like there's so many social problems and personal problems that Islam can fix. We won't go into it now, but we'll keep going along with your questions. Tell me about your belief in God and Jesus. So, because you were a Christian before,
Yes,
how much did it actually change?
I came from a church that believes that Jesus was God. We believed in one God.
Mm-hmm.
And in their eyes, Jesus was God.
Right.
And and so pretty much it was easy for me to switch over to Islam, which believes in one God.
Yep.
Like I said, I believe that Jesus was God, and it took a lot to change that mentality that Jesus was just a man. Took a lot, but once I came to the understanding of it, I accepted it.
Right. But was that confusing to grow up with, like believing that a man was God and there was also something else called God? How,
It was
how,
confusing because there was parts in the Bible where it said, like like in Genesis, it says that that uh, God said unto whatever, and He let us create man.
mm,
And then later on, it said that Jesus was God, and I was really confused about that. I was
yeah,
like, how can God talk to Himself?
yeah.
And it was just
And so, how did this come into the religion like that? Like, obviously, it was Christianity was perfect when Jesus was a prophet, and then it
yes.
changed. How does this sort of thing happen? Do you think? Like, have you?
My understanding of it, because I've done some studying on the Catholics and stuff, and from what I understood is when they had the Council of Nicaea, they changed a lot of things in the Bible,
Right.
and they added things uh, to the Bible, and they took things away from it, which in the Bible it says you're not supposed to do that,
Mm.
and
Why
they
would
did it.
Why would they do that?
I guess to gain more followers. I know they changed the days of the week, all kind of stuff, and
Mm. Okay.
it was kind of wrong.
Okay. And so your belief in Jesus then obviously had to change as well from being a belief that he was supposed to be a god to a prophet. How did this transition affect you?
It didn't affect me. I accepted it readily.
Yeah, because you can see the logic in it, and so it
Yes,
was
sir.
easy to accept. Yeah, excellent. Tell me, so I met you on the Facebook group, the Muslim converts, helping new Muslims. How long have you been there?
About a week.
Oh, really? You're only a new member there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you been on any other revert or convert groups on Facebook?
A couple, but this is the only one that I really opened up to.
Right. Okay. So how was it benefiting you so far by you joining these groups?
Because I'm learning by watching, asking questions, and I've learned a lot of things here recently that I didn't, I knew about, I think, but I didn't really know in my mind. And when I read the hadith on the stuff on these things these brothers were teaching me, it's like it opened my eyes, and I started putting it into practice.
Okay. And what is
So,
what is the hadith for those that don't know?
the hadith is the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's
Okay.
best I can put it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That sounds just about right. You mentioned that you in the Facebook group you can get more knowledge and ask questions there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so, do you think this is a good idea for people who are not Muslim yet to try and join these groups to get more information? Do you think that will allow you to join?
Yes. I think it'll help out a lot. People who are still learning and who are coming into the religion, that it'll help them to understand what they're getting into.
Mm, okay. And what else? What other advice do you have for people who are trying to find out about Islam or becoming Muslim? Where else can they find information?
They can get a Quran. I think I got a novel at the house. Um, or they can go to the masjid. The masjid, well, the brothers will be happy to sit down and talk to them.
So, if you're brave, go to the masjid, and really, there's
Yeah.
nothing to be scared about. But I was scared the first time I went. um,
First
and
time I went, the brother pulled me aside. He said, "Come here."
yeah, and what did he do?
I sat down and listened to him. He was teaching me about hadith.
Okay. So they if they're afraid to go to the masjid, then what's the next best thing?
They got hadith. I found a hadith thing online.
Hmm.
Um, I typed it in, it's got hadith, it's got Quran, and all that different apps, and that's how I've been getting a lot of my hadith from
Okay.
and teaching. So
So just general reading about Islam, either
yes,
reading the
sir.
Quran or reading the sayings of the Prophet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then would you put number three, like to join some Facebook groups to try and interact with people?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And can you think of a number four?
Number four, um, start spending time with the Muslims. That's best I got.
Yeah. So maybe at school or at your workplace, start
Yes.
befriending them. And so, what do you think is the most beautiful part of Islam?
Islam, the religion itself, peace. The love. I've seen a lot of love since I've become Muslim, and that's a beautiful thing for me. It's the love of you between Muslims.
Okay. So, I mean, but any group obviously will have love, you know, like a group of Christians, they love each other, or a group of Taekwondo school, they all love each other. How is this different?
It's a lot different from what I've seen. Because here in the United States, a lot of the churches they're judgmental, and they kind of push you away, you know. But when I went to the mosque and I got with the brothers, they came and hugged me and took me in and loved me. And
Yeah.
I didn't get that, you know, anywhere else.
That's right. Yeah, there's a certain amount of respect that some people, you know, they give due respect as well. And I think growing up in the West like we have, it's, you know, it's not something that gets shown much. You know, everyone is like to themselves a lot.
Yes.
They don't want to really open up. It's weird if someone opens up to you with love or respect, or, you know, showing this concern. Yeah, that's definitely a beautiful part of Islam. And I think that's what a lot of people, why they come to Islam, is because they see the character and the manners of the Muslims, you know, which was actually, you know, one of the best traits of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is that his character was the Quran, and people saw the way he was, and then that's why they became Muslim, just by seeing the way he interacted with people.
Yes. No, there's not much Muslims here anymore. I'm the only one so far. But I've been getting on. I got this app on my phone, and I've been learning the Arabic words through that.
Right. So what happened to all the Muslims in your city?
The imam left. He locked the doors, shut down the mosque, and the Muslims just kind of left.
How long ago was that?
About 3 years ago.
Wow. Well, that must be hard for you then.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I want to open up my own mosque here and see if I can get another one going.
So, but there are Muslims in your town.
I think there's about 3 of us.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about going to Kansas City, and they got a big mosque there, and I'm going to go up there and visit it here shortly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is an important thing to keep in touch.
Yes.
So we can, you know, keep role models into our life. And okay, so I think we can wrap it up there, unless you have any other questions or anything else you want to talk about.
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Saeed. So, so to finish off, if you can just give your best advice to anyone who's listening that may be thinking about becoming Muslim, what is your final advice for them?
My final advice is learn as much as you can and cling to the Muslims, to the mosque, and you'll don't step back. Just keep going forward.
Excellent.
And pray.
Okay.
And pray.
Pray. Yes. Okay, Saeed, thank you for joining us here, and you know, hopefully in the future we can have you back again onto the show.
Yes, sir.
And may the peace of God be upon you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, till we meet again. Bye.
Walaikum assalam.